amongst other things. And you know, we're going to be talking about the just killings as we look at the papers. We're going to be looking into the papers and we're going to be dissecting. We have guests in the house that would help to, you know, bring some issues to fore and help us trash it out. But before we go into the newspaper headlines for this morning, I'd like to take a short break. We'll be right back. Welcome back. We're looking at 7 different newspapers this morning, and we're going to start with the front page of the Punch. The first story, Plateau massacre. Just protesters chase officials, stone vehicles, offices in government house. Military arrests 3 suspects for killings. Defend yourself, Middle Belt Forum tells Plateau residents. Saraki Dogara demand overhauling of security agencies. Shoyinka to Buhari, you are treating killer herdsmen with kid gloves. Okay, looking on to other stories on the front page of the Punch, we have PDP to INEC. Don't recognize Oshomole as APC chairman. Something is going on there. I don't know what it is. Luth detains baby mother for 4 months over unpaid bills. Another story on the front page of the Punch. We also have federal government to raise 2.8 billion from abroad. That's on the front page of the Punch for this morning. Moving on to the Vanguard. Taking a break from the Plateau killings, we have excessive power charges. Reps label Disco's fraudster. And then we have court rejects ex-governor Inyame's plea for bail from prison. Going on to the center spread, we have violent protests rock Plateau Government House. That seems to be the story on the front page of every newspaper this morning. And then we have Naira appreciates to 360 per dollar in parallel market. I think that's good news. It means that the dollar to Naira is still at 360. I think it dropped briefly in the last set of weeks, but now it's back to 360. Federal government targets 2.8 billion debt from offshore sources. That's how the government intends to raise money to run some things in 2018 and 2019, I presume. Okay, moving on to Daily Sun. Moving on to Daily Sun, we have Imo Assembly suspends 4 members sympathetic to Deputy Governor. They suspend 4 members of the House of Assembly in the Imo State House of Assembly. They have been sympathetic to the Deputy Governor. And then we still have the story of Plateau women youth storm Government House, declare stop the killings. Demand justice as Christian body alleges plot of fresh attack on Southern Kaduna. Middle Belt states match words with action, Shoyinka tells Buhari. 1.64 billion fraud, court declines to grant jailed ex-Taraba governor Inyame bail. And the FAC meeting deadlock as states NNPC disagree. Military to monitor personnel, families calls, and others. This unfolds new social media guidelines. Moving on to the Tribune this morning, we have the front page of the Tribune. Nigeria named among 10 most dangerous countries for women. I think before we take this story further, I'd like to introduce the guests this morning. We have a guest in the house, that would help us to, dissect some of the stories by the person of Mr. Ziggy Ibe. Mr. Ziggy, good morning.
Thank you for having me.
Mr. Ziggy, it's a pleasure, sir, having you. Mr. Ziggy is a social commentator. Mr. Ziggy is a political analyst and a businessman, and he's here this morning. And I'd like to start particularly with this story. Nigeria named among 10 most dangerous countries for women. Why do you think that is so?
The rating there, I don't know, the body that
started it.
That rating.
Okay, let's go to the story.
I don't know from which angle they are coming from.
Okay.
Okay, because one thing is to name, another is to really know from their premise.
Okay. Should we read a little bit of the story?
Okay.
Okay. In a report by Thomas Reuters Foundation released on Tuesday, Nigeria was ranked the 9th most dangerous country in the world for women. India is placed as the most dangerous. The United States, the only Western country in the rank, is the 10th most dangerous country for women. Afghanistan was ranked the 2nd most dangerous, and so on and so on.
Okay.
According to the report, Nigeria was ranked 9th because of various allegations of rape against women.
Yeah, but this is placing on a very bad light, okay, as a country, and it's not best time for Nigeria right now.
Yes, I agree.
It's not best time for Nigeria right now. The onus is on the leaders to really get their house together and put so many measures in place to really protect the lives and properties of Nigerians. Okay, because that is the primary purpose of any government.
Okay, may I cut you in there? I remember a couple of days ago, I read of the story of a young woman that was raped and killed. I think that was last week. A corps member that was raped and killed. I think that was about 2 months ago as well. Particularly corps members, it's been popular. It's been a popular trend amongst corps members. Corps member was
whichever injustice meted to a citizen of a particular country, whether male or female, is not acceptable. Okay, and we are having this rise because the kind of value we are placing on human in Nigeria is becoming so dangerous. We don't seem to have values attached to human life. Hence, we are having just killings everywhere, and that is a dangerous precipice. The leaders and we, the led, should be able to step up our game. Let us be security conscious. Let's begin to question so many things, so many movements. Let's begin to be a security agent in our own localities. Sometimes when we place all the burden on the leaders, it weighs them down. Yes, the leaders are elected to do certain jobs, but we, the led, have our own responsibility too. I'm saddened, just like any other Nigerian this morning, arising from so many claims we are having. Not necessarily rape. Rape has been on the increase in the past years. Okay, and what we are having now, the increment we are having now, is just loss of value
may I
for
cut
our lives.
May I cut in briefly there,
the
sir?
human value is no longer there.
May I cut in briefly? I don't want us to go to the just killings yet, because we're still going to delve into that, really, because that's what is happening around. But I'm particularly concerned because if a corps member is invited or is instructed to go and serve in a part of the country, I think it is important that the government has a security apparatus in place to protect those corps members. So it's funny when we hear in the south, in the east.
Let's quickly say this: the security arrangement, the security architecture we are having right now are what? They are no longer working as it were. Because the security rises we are having in the country has defied every security arrangements put together.
I agree.
So if we are talking about security agencies rising to the occasion, they failed. But we wouldn't like condemn them totally, because sometimes we could sleep and wake up the next morning. Okay, what we are saying is whatever thing that must be done to really checkmate the activities of this hoodlum, the activities of these devils, should be done. Because like I said, we are no longer placing value. The premium we are placing on human life is very low, it's to the abyss. And as such, we don't see our fellow being as important. They don't deserve to live.
I think the word important is not even appropriate here. It's sacred.
Yeah, the sanctity of life in Nigeria, the sanctity of life in Nigeria is no longer there. People don't look at the amount of killing we're having now. Is so enormous, and it defies every arrangement, security arrangement put together. So things must be done differently. There must be this security arrangement that must be different from the way we've been doing it.
So you were
we need a different approach. Okay. Okay, because the killings or the rape is not targeted at the core members.
Yeah,
it's everywhere.
It's everywhere.
So it's not really particular. It's just the kind of life. It's just the kind of people we are becoming. We've changed from being human to bestial. We are no longer, human beings are no longer seeing their fellow being as enough to live. The tolerance rating, the tolerance rating has gone so bad. A little thing icks someone, a little thing takes you away from your humanity, and that is you begin to take up to resort to killing.
Taking a cue from what you just said now, a boyfriend and a girlfriend, sometime last week in the papers,
yes,
a boyfriend and a girlfriend, a woman who is a single mother, had no squabble with her boyfriend. Actually, the guy asked her for money. She denied. She said she didn't have the money. And the next thing, the guy went to his friend, arranged to kill her to collect her car. It's ridiculous. Just to snatch her car. And they killed her. And so to cover it up, bestiality was what you said. That's why I'm bringing this up. They cut her body into tiny pieces and buried it because they didn't want to be discovered. So the guy actually said he cut her body. It was a confession, and that for me is appalling. I can't fathom.
It is our tolerant ability has gone down. So also our feeling for our neighbor, who could be your wife, who could be your relative.
Very true.
Who could be your, when I mean neighbor, it expand to any other person living, because life you are living is not yours. You don't give life, so also you shouldn't take it. Okay? And this is getting too bad. So orientation first is what we need at this point in time. The security arrangement or security coverage to all human life should be there, yes. But let's begin to have a different orientation that takes us away from the way we are thinking now to a better and saner thinking. Okay? And I don't want to believe things are hard. Things have been hard.
Yeah, true.
Okay? Things have been hard.
True.
Look, I'm 40 plus right now, and I've never seen a better Nigerian. So if you tell me why you are doing certain things because things are hard, I can't believe you. I'm sorry. Okay? So it is just you refuse to tolerate
fellow human.
What are we having with husband and wife in the past decades? What the issue we're having, killing here and there, brawls here, what having is a man and a woman that come together, they are not perfect human beings.
Yeah.
It is just, marriage is just both people accepting or refusing to live each other in tolerance. But what we're having now is the moment a simple word that could be tolerated is no longer tolerant. So, and that is how bad we've gone as human.
Okay, still going back to the papers this morning, we're looking at the front page of the Tribune. Buhari plans reorganization to stop killings in Plateau State.
They should do that very quickly.
That's Dogara speaking. That's on the front page of the Tribune this morning. What do you have to say about that?
They should do that very quickly. 10 Nigerians have run out of patience. If you are being impatient to really stop this killing, I think you are right. So the leaders we are having now, we've gone beyond excuses for anything. What we need now is protect Nigerians and their properties. So if you couldn't do that, you failed in your responsibility as a leader.
Okay.
And we, the led, has our own responsibility too.
To also place a demand.
Place a demand, but then let's begin to work with the leaders. There are ways we can work with the leaders. Okay? We've talked about killing in the north, and a friend had argued that, look, killing is an ideology of a particular set of people.
Yes.
Yes, that might be truthful. But the issue,
really? No.
I said that might be truthful in his own understanding. Okay. But the truth remains that an ideology could be changed over time. Sure. Orientation is the only thing that could reorient someone from being bad to transiting the person to be good.
To being good.
Okay, so let's begin to inculcate into our families, into our words, that life is sacred and the sanctity of life should be maintained. So that killing is people's ideology is arguable. Yeah. But then it shouldn't be.
It shouldn't be.
It shouldn't be.
I agree.
Okay? So just clean it should be approached now. The time is now. Okay. We've had too many killings and that is not working with us again.
Okay, taking another paper this morning, we're looking at The Guardian. President Buhari to review nation's security apparatus. That's on the front page of The Guardian. And Daily Independent, Buhari considers reshuffling Nigeria's security structure. Continued bloodletting worrisome. I know that Saraki and Dogara visited the president and they questioned the security apparatus in Plateau State and in the country at large.
I want to say something very quickly. When we were through with Boko Haram, like we were told they were decimated, now in our hand right now we are having S-men killing. Headers. The headers I know, I keep saying everywhere, they don't carry guns.
So how do they get the...
So how do they get the sophisticated weapon they are carrying now? So somebody, to me, is gaining from this. This is becoming an enterprise, so gainful to someone, somewhere. Yes, it's arguable, you can argue, no problem.
No, but the president said so.
This is my own belief that...
The president said so earlier this week.
The killing we're having now, look, the killing predates this administration, don't forget.
Yes, yes, I agree.
We've had killings
Boko
from various people. Boko Haram seems to have been transmuted into a different terrible organization.
But you know, one thing that really strikes me about this entire thing is headers are everywhere. If you go to the Lagos-Ibadan Expressway,
they are there.
They are there. In Ogun State, they're there. So it looks like a well-organized way of reaching places
and I tell you, let me like say another thing that might shock you. Some of these killings are political. Somebody somewhere is using it to demean and promote his political agenda. Demean certain quarters just to promote his vote. Look, we're Nigerian, and I tell you, Nigerians politicians could do anything to make sure somebody somewhere is rubbished and his own political agenda promoted.
We still talks about the sanctity of life.
Okay, a Nigerian politician sometimes don't think about it. They don't remember. All they do, look, if we want to expand the discussion, we'll go into certain stories we've heard in the past. Paul Onongo was a Northern Elder chairman. And Paul Onongo came to the public to tell the whole Nigeria, to tell the whole world that somebody somewhere is sponsoring Boko Haram. Till we speak, that person has not been invited for questioning. And you know what we have in the country? The elites have their day. The elites have their day. You dare not touch an elite. The moment somebody is thrown up and the person is a big man, you hardly can do anything with him. More so, maybe the elites now might be in the categories of the big boy, the big men. When an allegation is, so when somebody is fingered for a particular, let the person be questioned. Much might not be heard or much might not be, but let's begin to have on record that when an allegation was on someone, he was invited.
And something was done about it.
And something was done. By that, we are beginning to look into the security issues and tackle them. Okay, but that is not the case with us here.
Thank you very much, Mr. Ziggy Ibe. We've been speaking with Mr. Ziggy Ibe on AM Chat this morning on the headlines and the newspaper review. I will take a short break now, and when we return, we introduce our topic for the day and our guests. Please stay with us.
Independence broke the bonds of colonialism, freeing Nigeria to be sovereign, to practice free will and to determine its own fate. On October 1st, Nigeria added to its list of vital statistics a new status as the world's fourth largest democracy. Nigerians set a precedent in breaking from their colonial constitutional heritage, rejecting Britain's parliamentary form of democracy, which they had continued after their independence in 1960. Nigeria made that choice with characteristics pragmatism, where her new government looks remarkably familiar to an American. Since the inception of the Fourth Republic in 1999, it is observed that the prolonged adventure of the military into Nigerian government and politics had basic democratic tenets, which seems difficult for those saddled with the political power and responsibilities to respect or observe. We would have matured better democratically than what we have today, so people attribute this to the military hangover Nigeria was recovering from after the long period of military dictatorship. Between 1999 and today, we have had 4 elections, and at each point, we have always improved on the previous process. Nigeria celebrates its 17 years of uninterrupted democracy. As the years go by, Nigeria is expected to grow and mature in her democratic dissection. On May 29, 1999, Nigeria returned democratic rule after 2 decades of military dictatorship in our political history. Democracy is a process, but we continue to compare democracy in Nigeria with democracy in other countries. Maturity of democracy in Nigeria should not be about number of years, even as it is the most common yardstick. It is pertinent to draw our attention to allegations of corruption in high places. Nigerians expect the representatives, that is, the executive arm of government, to protect them. Rather, Nigerians get disappointed when they hear of scandals from these representatives. Even highly placed government officials demand bribes and are shielded by the official's secret account. In order to combat this act, a remarkable account was developed known as the Treasury Single Account. The TSA is a public accounting system using a single account or a set of linked accounts by governments to ensure all revenue receipts and payments are done through a consolidated revenue account and at the Central Bank of Nigeria. Since the inception of the Fourth Republic on 29th of May 1999, Nigeria's democracy has been facing a lot of catastrophe. Although it is believed by many political pundits that crisis is part of the maturing processes of every maturing democracy, including a present democracy. Successful transition from one party to another has never happened before in the history of Nigeria elections, because in the past, it was a do or die affair. It is said that President Muhammadu Buhari is a product of the political maturity of the People's Democratic Party. This was said due to the course of history altered by the loss and acceptance of the defeat by the former ruling party in Nigeria. That changed the course of history in Nigeria. As we all know, democracy is a political system in which the supreme power lies in a body of citizens who can elect people to represent them. We can say democracy has reigned and we have left a legacy because Nigerians are making the decisions. The results demonstrate the maturity of democracy in Nigeria. It shows that democracy has come of age. We have seen demonstration of peaceful elections and peaceful transitions from one government to another. God bless Nigeria.
Welcome back. You're still on AM Chat on MITV, and my name is TOMYSYNE. I'm your host this morning. Today we'll be talking about youth involvement in nation building. That's our topic for the day. Youth involvement in nation building. Throughout history, young people have actively sought to bring social, political, technological, and economic change to their societies and countries. In doing so, they are sometimes credited with changing business as usual, and for this, they are portrayed as being rebellious, sometimes destructive of outdated conventional norms, reckless, or violent. Certainly, young people are today and tomorrow's lifeline through entrepreneurship, education, innovation, professionals, political and civil leaders who are vital to governance, economic growth, and peace. Okay, that's the premise where we start our discussion this morning. We're going to be looking at young people's involvement in nation building. We're going to be looking at the different spheres of their influence right now. Introducing my guests this morning. On my left, I have Mr. NWOKO.
CHUKS NWOKO is my name.
Yes, CHUKS NWOKO. Right. I'm sorry for mispronouncing your name. His name is Mr. CHUKS NWOKO, and according to Mr. NWOKO, reading his words exactly, he is a publisher and a Nigerian compassionate entrepreneur, and I know that you do something about the Millennium Development Goals and all that. That's the name of your magazine, okay? And on my right we have Mr. OLAYINKA OLA-DANIELS.
Thank you.
Welcome to AM Chat this morning. Like I said, I think we're going to be talking about youth involvement, but looking at the last package which we all just saw, we're talking about how mature is Nigeria's democracy for youth involvement. That's where we start from this morning. How mature is our democracy for youth involvement? Let's start with Mr. NWOKO.
Our democracy is about close to 20 years old. I know that a 20-year-old person is gone beyond the age of a teenager and all that,
yes,
becoming a man.
That's very true.
But I guess that from the inception, we have had a mixture of youths, get involved in Nigerian democracy and all that. Just that we haven't been able to derive the anticipated or expected premium, as it were, or benefit, if you like, because of the foundation of our politics, of our democracy, because of the wholesale democracy that we have taken on. Yesterday I was speaking somewhere and I said that I'm completely not in tandem with what is going on in Nigeria, and particularly our democracy. I have seen democracy work in China and Russia, and I've seen the progress that they have made in those spheres and all that. I've seen democracy being practiced in the United States, the place where we brought it from, how it has not helped the nation called America all you have going on in America is what we have also imported: violence. Our culture is completely eroded. We have imported wholesale popular culture, which is not working and all that. But if you go, I mean, we all watch the World Cup. You see how organized that was. That's the best World Cup I have ever seen since 1982, when I started watching World Cups. Now, if you was here, all you would have been hearing is the argument, the corruption, all kinds of things. So the youth involvement it's not, as far as I'm concerned, it's at the level of slavery, where youths are just slavering for hoods, the money bags, the elites, acting as their thug, becoming armed robbers in the process, and eventually when the youths get into positions, what do? They imitate our political parents by stealing and by looting and by sharing our commonwealth.
Okay, so may I quickly cut in there? You were talking about the youth imitating and imbibing the culture of the people who obviously put them in place. I'd like Mr. Olayinka to say something about that. If we are saying about youth involvement, that they're going to be slaves, in Mr. NWOKO's words, said they're going to be slaves, obviously, to the
political elites.
Political elites who put them there, because obviously that's what will end up happening. What do you think? What's your response to that?
Well, maybe I should start with the word of Mahatma Gandhi. He said, "A man is but a product of his thought," meaning whatever you think is what you become. Now let's take that from our youth and the leaders we have today. Yes, we appreciate the National Assembly and Mr. President, the assent on the bills. Too young, not too young to run. Yes, it has taken care of a barrier, the barrier of not allowing youth to come into politics, probably to contest and all that. But one barrier has not been dealt with. That bill did not address a particular barrier, which is the financial barrier of the youth.
Oh, we're going to be talking about the financial barrier in the second segment.
Because why I raise that is going back to dancing to the tunes of the people
who put them in place.
Who put you in place. Because you don't have the financial capacity to run.
Why not talk about the intellectual? Let's start from the intellectual capacity of these young people, because what I understand from what Mr. NWOKO is saying is they are brainwashed already. They are not brainwashed.
You are a mother, and you are a wife. You do not brainwash your children. They imitate. Your children imitate you.
Okay.
They emulate you. They copy you. That's natural,
the natural thing. So yes. they have been put in condition.
Follow the examples.
Exactly.
Yes.
They have been conditioned to follow the examples of their parents. So now talking about that particular behavioral trend.
I think
how do we deal with that?
Also, I think we need to break it down into pieces. Now, because when we talk about youth, generally, now this set of people, I think we should still further break them into categories.
Teenagers?
Not even, I'm not going into that. I'm not going to by age. Let's pick the number 18 to 35.
Okay.
Now, these are the people, because you are saying that following the steps of their fathers or picking from us. Now, what is the percentage of those ones picking? What is the percentage of the youth even being interested in the so-called politics we are talking about? What is the percentage of, because what you see them do is either they are for the, well, they talk about football, they talk about fashion, entertainment
showbiz,
and all that, showbiz and all that. That is what you see. Now, the few ones among them that we can say, okay, fine, maybe these are youth that, okay, I think they are experienced, or they have passion for this politics and all that. Don't even know how to go about it. Now, it's what they have seen so far from 1999 to date. There's a way our leaders, our fathers, play the role, the so-called politics so far. Now, what do they use these youths for? Tokenism, They are the one that go to hijack ballot box. They are the one that goes with those axes and machetes and guns and whatever that fight. They are the one that use to perpetrate evils. Now, you can see the youth we are talking about, rather than them having an ideology, they follow the steps of our fathers, because that is what they have seen them do. Like he said, you know, it's not about me telling you, but what you see. Like he said, you're a parent, you're a mother, your children, what you do, they see. Thank you. So now, these are also the few ones among the youth. You know, they see this and they copy that, and that is the reason why we are here where we are. I welcome the bill, but the question is, are we ready as the youth in this nation?
Okay, that's looking at that. What's on the screen right now, we're looking at the signing of the bill. Is a short video on the signing of the not too young to run bill, where the president assented to it and all that. And I saw that it was sponsored by one of the people 24 House of Assemblies, State House of Assemblies to assent to it before it goes to the president.
What he didn't know, the young man didn't know.
Okay, you mean Samuel Itobo, the guy?
Yes,
who,
yes. What he didn't factor in or remember is that why I do not condemn his effort and all. I think it's laudable. What he didn't realize is that from the place where we borrowed this democracy, plus the people who hosted this democracy on us, what he didn't remember, and what I need us to all remember is that if you go back to their own place, the United States, young people, what do they do? When you declare to run a presidency, young people in the United States, they go to the different camps. You have people supporting Trump, you have people supporting Mrs. Clinton, you have people supporting Mr. Bush and all that. They are volunteers. So when you see them come on TV, like we're on TV, you will see former supporter or former aide, because that's how they learn the nitty-gritty, learn the ropes and all that.
And that is missing in our own system.
Not only is it missing, they contribute. They want $1 or quarter. And get up and say, I want to become a... Look at Ted Cruz. Who I check his antecedent. How he supported Bush and all the activities he has played in Texas and in Florida before he got to the house. That culture is not here. Our culture here, you know what it's all about? The money. So you
bring the money?
Yeah, sharing the money.
Push the person.
And the problem is the oil that we have. In any nation where you have an extractive industry, what we have here, the confusion we have here, all the killings that we have here, all the confusion that we have here, whether it's in Liberia, whether it's in Sierra Leone, whether it's in Venezuela, go and check in any country on the surface of this earth where you have to go and extract something, whether it's in Cote d'Ivoire, go and check it. It is the countries that don't have resources that have peace. The other place where you have oil and an extractive industry is Russia. But you know what they did? They have confronted the Americans and told them, we don't want your democracy. And they fought Clinton for coming to that place to come and make the speech he made condemning Putin for rigging the election. As far as they are concerned, they are not interested in their wholesale democracy. Look, election just aired in China a few months ago. They locked up members of their political party in one room for a few days, gave the mandate to their premier, the current premier, to rule them for life. They are making progress. The youths of those nations, their mentality is to go all over the world and conquer the world economically and technologically.
Yes. Taking a cue from that, the youths from all over the world. Let's look at the United States, for example. We seem to have copied so much what is happening in the US. We've copied their democracy. We've copied the violence. You know, the freedom of speech. Fine, beautiful. We all like to speak. I'm a wife, and I tell my husband I must have my say. You know, we all say that, but I look at it. Your
mother didn't teach you that?
No, actually, my mother didn't. That's true. And my mother
and she had peace with her husband.
True, very true, and raised us well. You know, it so happens that as we copy and we imbibe these things, I have a very question. Let me say, impression about what it is. It's as if we just do you want to write an exam, you just lift it, and you just drop it. Absolutely no understanding of what it is.
Absolutely.
You don't look at the front, you don't look at the back, you don't look at the antecedent, you're not concerned about the extreme issues that may come up as a result of these things that we copy. And we keep having parents send their children to the UK, to the US, to the West. They keep going to the West. Now, the culture they bring in, they come here, they interact with their friends, and then it becomes the next generation's trend.
Absolutely.
Am I correct?
Very well.
It becomes the next trend. But in the communist nations, it's a totally different thing. They have, it's as if the government schools them from the school. The school they go to tells them, you must add value to your society.
Absolutely.
Tells them, you must bring this. You must affect, you must contribute your own quota to what is happening. Can that system work in Nigeria? That's my question, Mr. OLAYINKA.
One, Mandela said, and I'll quote, any nation that wants to prosper, its citizens must be educated. Bringing that to Nigeria, how many percentage of our population that is educated?
Okay, let me ask a question. You said educated. Now,
Yeah.
I have a very funny way of viewing education in Nigeria.
Education is
For
not by
me,
school.
Thank you.
education
It's
is
not the wall.
school.
I'm not talking about the
Exactly.
wall of the university.
Exactly.
That's not what I mean by
Exactly.
education. And I'm sure you understand that. I'm
Exactly.
very sure our
So I want
viewers
us to
also
be
understand
clear
that it's
about
not just about the
education.
wall of the institutions. No.
Thank you, sir.
When we talk about education, we're talking about knowledge. They said knowledge is power. In our among our youth, we pick from the Western world. We come here and, okay, like, for instance, sorry, let me just bring in this in. For instance, everywhere you see divorce here and there, single parent, single mother, single father, in Nigeria today is a trend.
It's
Now,
fashionable.
you pick that from the Western world.
Yes.
But you know the truth. Anytime, check it, anytime, probably the Queen Elizabeth, the family, whatever, they are having any occasions, check the people they invite.
Yes, people who, family units, families.
So meaning they are family values. So when we then come to say no, well, no, it is not. No, it's not, because they are family values. So because some people are doing it, then you pick the wrong ones. Now another question I always ask again: is democracy working for us? Yes, let's say it's 20 years. Let's say it's 20 years. A child that is 20 years in Nigeria contest. Sometimes I listen to some 25.
And you're wondering.
And I ask myself, where are we going?
And you're wondering.
And these are the people that want to take over. We call them the future of the country. At 25, nothing reasonable can come out from your mouth. You can't even reason. You can't even, bring out anything tangible to the table at 25. Now, back to the democracy at 20. So it's very possible that our democracy may also be in line of the Nigerian context of the youth. Why? You copy democracy. Did you copy the ideology behind the democracy when you copy that? Today, Trump is there. Everybody complaining about Trump. People are still talking. And Trump has not picked up anyone that said anything against him. Maybe in his cabinet he fires and hire and all that, but outside his cabinet, I don't think he has arrested the Beyonce, he has arrested the Jay-Z and all those people talking.
Let me give you this. One particular woman, I listened to an interview on BBC at Talk where a particular woman held, she's a comedian, she held something Griffin. She held the bearded, she had a hair, the graffiti of Trump's head. And the woman has been victimized by practically everybody in the US.
Okay.
She said she cannot enter the US. They locked her up for months. Her family is under, and practically every country she goes to that is that has a relation with, she has to be detained for a couple of hours before she's released.
Is a woman an American?
She's an American.
That trend? Because
she's an American.
Well, maybe that's just one out of many.
Mr. OLAYINKA might not know that in the United States, when Trump became president, or even before he became the president, don't forget that he is a political no fight. It's a nobody when it comes to
politics.
Yeah.
He just got motivated that, oh, it's possible. All he wanted to do was become the mayor of New York.
Exactly. To just
and one day just realized that he found out the cost. I said, oh, the same cost to be. So he went into it. Since that election, when he became president, George Bush has been quiet. Clinton has been quiet.
Yes.
Hillary has been quiet.
Yes.
Beyonce has been quiet.
Yes.
Come to Nigeria, what do you have? Destructive elites who are just look. This president that we have has not had time to do any creative thinking. You know why? From inception, you have somebody who wants to be president of Senate. He went to go and sleep in the car so that he can jump into the place and bring himself to be president. We are a very destructive. We live in a very destructive environment. The army general, Trump defeated both Beyonce, Nollywood, name them. The little disruptions that he has right now, when anybody he replies you, whatever you want to do, he will reply.
He just talks.
because those things are not even destructive.
No, he's good with making clear.
But let me
he talks. People talks. And because people talk, all he does is to reply whoever that says anything.
Of course, he responds.
But he never picked them. He never shut them down.
Because they are not destructive.
Because they're not.
Thank you. That is the point I am making. But we don't have that here.
Here, people already have made up their mind.
And these people you are talking about have not stolen American money because they don't even have the money.
Yes, and they are creating problems. You know.
Here we are destructive. Here, a president of America is sitting down and saying, "This is what we are going to do." I mean, he's not a popular person to a lot of people, but if you go to my Facebook page, you will see his pictures. You went to my page, you see, because from inception, I have seen the hands of God in that guy's life. He is not a perfect person. God never uses perfect people.
True.
He has never, from inception, he has never looked at someone and said, "Oh, you are such a good guy," including, and say, "Come, let me use you." But what do we have here? You have people who, they don't work. They live in big mansions. I have one of them in my family. His name is Ned. He has never lifted a finger, and I hope he's watching, to earn a living. All he does is write proposals, fake proposals. He doesn't even know how to write proposals. He just writes, and when you tell him this thing, there's no benefit to the people you are writing it to another. He just goes harassing people, taking from people. He's there in my town. And there are many like that. And he gets money, builds this. Look, were you in this country? When on TV, I was sitting down in my house, I was watching a TV program. I saw this guy on TV saying that this group of Nigerians, NGO, that they have gotten 33 million signatures for Jonathan. They lied and duped Jonathan. This guy that I'm talking to you about got $200 million. With it, he bought Rolls Royce and all that. And I've been telling him to go and look for work. He doesn't have work. Why? There are many like that. So they are parading the corridors of power. They are lying, writing proposals, and when you say no to them, they're the ones disrupting this country. Look, all these killings that are going on, who do you think is causing it? They are the ones who pervert the media and say it's headsmen. They are politicians.
Hold on, sir. Before we continue on that thought, we would like to take a very short break. We'll be right back.
Independence broke the bonds of colonialism, freeing Nigeria to be sovereign, to practice free will, and to determine.
Participation by young people is the future of life. And to displace each of the 26 states of the Federation plus FCT, it is an unprivileged at this time to whom meaningful.
Still looking at youth involvement in nation building, I'd like to quote something that the president said at the signing of the bill, the video we just watched. The president at the signing of the Not Too Young bill, Not Too Young to Run bill, said, and I quote, "Your focus and contribution has now successfully increased the quality and maturity of Nigeria's democracy and expanded the playing field for youth participation in politics." Now, youth participation in politics. We know how the youth have participated so far. We've at least this morning we've talked about using them for snatching of ballot boxes. We've talked about using them as aides and all that. But in the U.S., as Mr. NWOKO said, in the U.S. they volunteer. Can that system truly work? Because the president is saying that we are ready. From what he said contributed, increase the quality and the maturity of Nigeria's democracy. And
it will work in Nigeria if you have political elites, or if you have one who is able to understand this thing that we've just discussed, or who has seen how it's happened abroad, and begin to champion it. Just that it's going to take a long time for you to develop that kind of culture. Because what we have here is, yes, has already been embedded. How do you, I mean, you even talk to young people, they say, oh, how much money does he have? How much is he going to give me, and all that? So it's going to take a long while. But it's going to take one individual. And every time it takes an individual to make a difference. To say, okay, you know what? That is the direction to go. And you will say no to those boys when they come to you and they're asking for money. Say, no, you contribute to my campaign. Contribute to my ambition. And let's see how we can go. You know, in Europe, in France, you have a 30-year-old person. In the eastern part of Europe, young people are beginning to win elections.
Yeah.
And
even in Kenya.
Even in Kenya. But let me tell you,
we have a 24-year-old who was elected into the House of.
Exactly. But let me tell you how it came about. Let me explain to you how it came about. This immigrant influx into Europe is what gave rise to it. These young people just decided, you know what? These guys are admitting people into Spain, into France, into Poland, into Switzerland, into Germany. You know what we're going to do? We are against these immigration laws. So they became small political parties. They are young, and they begin to win elections because the populace don't want black Africans to come into their place. So they're beginning to win elections. So you can choose a topic and remain insignificant. But what happens in Nigeria? When I'm a member of a political party, and I've been in that political party since 2002. People laugh at me. Why don't you join APC? Why don't you join?
Because you believe in the ideology?
But I believe in the ideology that Nigeria came first. Nigeria comes first. We started the Nigerian conference in 2002. In this very studio, my chairman, Reverend Kisokote, he was in this studio. He announced his entrance to the political. I don't know where you were in 2002, but he was in this studio. Yes. And I was at home. I was shocked because we were in church that morning. He didn't say anything to us, only to put on our TV. And I was getting calls, oh, chairman is on TV. What? That's how we started this journey. And we are stuck together. Because in the ideology, we are leavers. And probably I'll leave our children. But we are stuck to it that Nigeria. This attempt to divide Nigeria is not going to work. Because you don't need the whole world. You just need 12 disciples to believe that Nigeria is our nation. And we're not going anywhere. I have gone abroad. I didn't fit in. All the places I've been to. I've been to US. I've been to London. But
you're in Nigerian at heart?
Ah, yes.
In everything. Mr. Olayinka, taking this particular conversation forward, I read a lot of funny things online, and it was interesting to note that how exactly does this particular bill enrich our democracy if political bigots believe that it is a waste of precious time? Because, and I do have a reason for saying this, because in an article from the people who started this particular year ago, the YouTube brought this about. They said Professor Ziggy, the chairman of the Presidential Advisory Committee Against Corruption, he said Nigerian youth is unfit to hold the highest political office in the country, labeling the youth clamoring for such as shallow-minded. His reasons include the get-rich mentality, the fast get-rich mentality, and very fast, and then he said the youth do not recognize the importance of climbing up the success ladder gradually. Now, with this kind of generalization, because we have quite a number of people who have come forward to say they're vying for political position, for presidency, and I particularly saw 22 names that are not currently in government. 22 names. I have a list here. I had to write down their names intentionally because I wanted to understand, and I did a maths. Of all the 22, only 15 of them are under the age of 50. Now, of the ones that are under the age of 50, only 3 are above 40. Of those people, of which Fela Durotoye belongs to the group, of which Basket Mouth belongs to the group, of which we had We had Thomas Wilson, and you know, quite a number of people. But we have 15 Nigerians who want to contribute in this way. But somebody in government is saying, because these are the people that we call youth. We're looking at people who are under the age of say 45 and below. For me, I still say 50. Barack Obama was quite young when he became president. France president was 35 about when. So for me, if a country like France could have a president in his 30s, and somebody in the current government says youth should not vie for the position at all, that it is even an anomaly.
Let me say this. Most of the countries you're mentioning, most of the European countries and all that you're talking about, at 18, they are mature. At 18, they do the things adults are doing at 18. You see them, the way they reason, the ideology behind whatever they are alive as in what they live for, you see it at 18. And I just said something earlier. I said at 25.
In Nigeria.
We are not even close. Game. So now, if Professor Sagi is saying that it may not be totally, out of place, but then, like I said also earlier about when I was breaking them down, and I was saying, okay, there are some set of youth. Yes, they believe in politics. They believe in them coming in, but for what purposes? For what purposes? To be made rich. They see it as a way of making, to get rich. Quick. It's a way of getting rich. Quickly. That is the reason why they are coming into politics. Not that they are ready to be grassroots politicians. Not that they love the nation and they want to see things turn around. It's about what they can make, they can benefit. Now, the few ones that may have the ideology, that I may want to say, okay, I'm going to be part of the grassroots. The few ones can't afford it. No, they can't afford it. That is the reason why I will still advise them. Yes, you may not be able to afford it today, but join the grassroots. We don't have grassroots politicians when it comes to our youth. That's the reason why they are being used by the elites.
Even the chairman are over the age of 50.
We don't have grassroots among our youths.
So we don't have young people in the
they are not there. I attend meetings of a particular political parties, and each time I get there, maybe I will see maybe the youngest among them. Even me. The youngest among them. And I ask, where are the youth? Where are the younger ones? But yet they are clamoring, they are making noise. They want to be president, they want to be governor. How do you want to become?
That brings me to my very next question. Another interesting thing: to contest for presidency in Nigeria or governorship position. Bismarck Rewani said it takes about 400 billion naira. When I saw it, I was shocked. He actually said $2 billion, equivalent to 300 billion to 400 based on the economy, the exchange or whatever. But we're looking at 400 billion for a successful, in his words, a successful presidential campaign. And I'm wondering,
that's not it.
Fela Drotoye wants to contest for president.
It's possible for him to raise the money.
Is the money compulsory? That's my question.
It is compulsory because of all the things.
But sir, the question.
Because like I gave you an example, in the US, people will come and volunteer and contribute. He has to spend money. Look, you know what killed Abiola in 1993? He spent his money.
Everything.
Not only did he spend his money, this man annulled his election. He killed him.
Wow.
This guy had money, was a rich man.
He was.
And when you're a rich man, you're doing something. People just take from you.
People
were taking from him. I was a young man. I don't know what was I, but I was already following political whatever. I was already visiting TV stations and all that. But back to the subject matter. In this era of social media and all that amount can be minimized.
Yes,
if you deploy social media, and if your target audience is within that age bracket that you don't really need to use television.
Because they actually 18 to 35 should be about 50%
Yeah.
of the.
If you
of
plan,
the
you might not
Very
need,
well.
and to also raise that money with a population that we have, it would have been easy if we are like those guys there who will contribute.
Would go
But the
$1
example you
per
gave,
person.
the example that you gave, let me puncture the example that you gave. Youth involvement in nation building will require education. Education has moved out of the four walls of schools. That's
Yeah.
number one. Number two,